The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Prime Minister. When he said, quote, "What I stand by is environmentally sensitive mining," end quote, did he actually mean mining in environmentally sensitive areas?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, no.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Can the Minister confirm that of the much quoted 84 areas of mining and conservation areas, none of them are actually protected Schedule 4 areas?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes, I can confirm that. And Mr Speaker, funnily enough, Mr Speaker, the other thing I can confirm was back in 2005 there was a gold and gemstone permit and operation permitted in the Paparoa National Park by the then Labor government, and the access agreement was granted by the then Minister of Conservation.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, are the 2,500 hectares of the most beautiful and most sensitive conservation land that is in the Coromandel area simply the first of those currently protected conservation areas that he intends to open up to mining, or will there be further areas? If so, how much?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, it's impossible to answer that question at this time. One of the reasons why we're doing an aerial magnetic survey is to get a better understanding of the mineral wealth of New Zealand.
But the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, can I seek the leave of the House to table a document actually published yesterday by Jerry Brownlee that says they will be opening up further Schedule 4 areas, which contradicts the Prime Minister's answer.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition shouldn't interrupt a minister answering a question to seek leave to table a document. I'll consider his point of order shortly, but I think the Prime Minister was in the middle of answering a question. Has the Honourable Prime Minister, he's finished answering the question.
Well, point of order, Mr Speaker. I seek the leave of the House to table a document published yesterday by Jerry Brownlee that, contrary to what the Prime Minister says that further Schedule 4 areas will be opened up in the Coromandel. So how can he say that it's impossible to answer?
That last bit was totally out of order. However, on the indicator of fairness, I must also alert the Prime Minister that when he was asked the previous one before the last one, he went on far longer than the question asked, so I'll consider that 50-50 or 1-1, and I'll put leave as sought to table that document. There is objection. Chris Tremaine.
Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker.
Order, I've called Chris Tremaine.
To the Prime Minister. Is he aware of any mines currently situated in environmentally sensitive areas?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes, I am aware that the previous government approved an access agreement for the Pike River mine, which is adjacent to and under the Paparoa National Park. The mine was described by the then government as being an area of, quote, high conservation values.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Will mining on the Coromandel and on Great Barrier be the quote-unquote surgical incision that he earlier promised, or will it be more like the Martha mine, a huge open pit with 40 million tonnes of tailings?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I can rule out any open cast mining in those areas.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Will
Order,
Speaker, when the Prime Minister is ready. Mr Speaker, will the government override the Auckland City Council and the protection that it has given to Great Barrier Island as an area where mining is actually a prohibited activity under its district plan?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, no, but anyone can make an application to change the plan.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Why was the plan to open up formerly protected Schedule 4 land to mining only announced by Mr Brownlee in August of last year and not before the election, when discussions had taken place with mining lobby groups before the election?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, firstly, there are always ongoing discussions with all sorts of sectors and areas for a long period of time. But I find that a bit offensive, actually, to be perfectly honest.
Get rid of it.
John Biscoe.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary question to the Prime Minister.
Order, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, I don't believe the Prime Minister had completed his answer.
The Prime Minister had answered as far as he saw fit to, given the question and given the interjections. John Biscoe, supplementary.
Thank you, Mr.
Order. Now, order. Senior members know they cannot make that kind of allegation and should cease. John Biscoe.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Prime Minister. Can the Prime Minister confirm that the proposals outlined in the document Maximising Our Mineral Potential are primarily about finding out for New Zealanders what potential wealth exists? And does he agree that, aside from eco-fundamentalists and Phil Goff, no rational person should be opposed to establishing those simple matters of fact?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
I can also confirm that the last government aerial magnetic survey was undertaken by the government in the 80s, and I can confirm the reason of the delay in releasing the report for the last few months has been we've been looking through to try and find the quotes of Phil Goff standing up in Cabinet and rejecting the 74 applications for mines. When the then Labor government approved them, we couldn't find a single one.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Was the Prime Minister intending to further subsidise the exploration costs of overseas mining companies by $4 million when they already have a special concessionary tax regime that means that they pay practically no tax, if any tax at all, during their exploration and development phases, and when their royalties can be as little as 1% of the total value of their production?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, no. The reason for doing that is to try and get a stocktake of New Zealand's wealth.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, the answer can't be no when the question is why is he spending that amount of subsidy?
Well, I'd invite the Prime Minister. Not particularly helpful, I must say, to the Honourable Leader of the Opposition when a point of order is, the Honourable Leader of the House, when the point of order is being considered. Given the question the Leader of the Opposition asked the Prime Minister maybe to start his answer again and just reflect on the question asked.
No. Well, Mr Speaker, firstly it's the same regime that operated under the previous Labor government for oil and gas exploration. And secondly, Mr Speaker, that has been the successful regime actually that led to the Kupe oil and gas field that I actually launched officially last week. And that's why we found out exactly what was there, and we'll find out what's in there in the future.
Question number 4, Chris Ockenpold.
Mr Speaker, to the Minister of Energy and Resources.